Assalamu alaikum, Bushra. Jazakallah khair for being here. I'm super excited for this episode.
Walaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Jazakallah khair for inviting me, and me too.
Yeah, I know. I'm super curious. Obviously, I didn't grow up in a traditional Muslim household. So I'm really curious to know, what does a traditional Muslim marriage look like?
Right. So in like really simple terms, a traditional Islamic marriage is where you take on roles that are aligned with your fitrah, like with your
Mm,
intrinsic nature as a man or as a woman, right? So the man is the qawwam, he's the leader or the guide of the family, he's the protector, he's the provider, the breadwinner. And the woman is under his authority, like she supports him and she's the birth giver and nurturer. So there's a very clear division of role, and like both the genders are playing to their strengths,
I
like
love
they're
that.
doing what they were created to do by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's basically what it looks like.
That's amazing. Alhamdulillah, I love
Yeah.
that so much. And so, what are some of you just touched upon some of the gender roles: protector, provider, nurturer, and having children, inshallah.
I personally feel like there's nothing more important than raising the next generation of Muslims and setting a good example for them of what a healthy Islamic marriage looks like. And the family unit is under attack on all
Yes,
fronts, right? Like
absolutely.
if you like if the man's out working, the woman's out working, like who's raising the kids, Like
Hmm.
who's molding these really highly impressionable minds? So that's something that we really need to stop and think about.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, these are generations of Muslims that are, inshallah, they raise other Muslim children as well, right? And you have Muslim grandchildren. I mean, that is the
Yeah.
goal, right? We want to pass on this living tradition very, very much. It's very important. Yeah, absolutely.
And like another one of the reasons why I feel like women, like some women, don't want to be like homemakers anymore is because society as a whole has stopped valuing them. Like society
Yes.
as a
Oh
whole
my
has
gosh.
stopped valuing motherhood. We think
Mhm.
it's interchangeable. We think a nanny or just like putting them into daycare is just as good as the mother raising the kids.
Mm.
And so they feel like this kind of pressure to like go out and do a job and like be a career woman, because being a mother or being a wife is not enough. I feel like a lot of women, they want to be stay-at-home moms, but the current
Mhm.
economy does not allow it. There's like both ends of the spectrums. Like there's women who can be a stay-at-home mom, but they choose not to do that
Mhm.
because of these external ideologies. And there's those that are dying to like raise their kids, but sadly they can't afford it. So like both
Yeah,
of those
that's
are
true.
true.
Yeah, there needs to be more Muslim families that are influencers that can show you how to live on a budget,
Yeah.
how to, especially in this. I mean, like you just said about the inflation report just came out last week, and it's very, it's a lot worse than they thought, of course. And I think that we have to downsize, live with family, inshallah. I mean, that's a beautiful, it's a blessing in many ways. And so I think that, reprioritizing your life, selling the second car, things like that, homeschooling even. Yeah, there's a lot of options that you can do so that you can, still have a family and live under one income, inshallah, or have a side business. There's lots of
Yeah,
ways that you
yeah.
can have a side business and be
Absolutely. Like there
successful.
needs to be like more like there need to be more people out there who are like teaching you how to earn a halal income. It doesn't have to
Yes,
be a 9 to 5 grind set, right?
exactly,
You could like
exactly.
maybe you could have a part-time job, you have a business, you're
Yeah.
freelancing, or a
Mhm.
YouTuber like you. Something like something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. And I think that goes, there's a lot there actually. I mean, you could do a whole thing about socioeconomics, and how that plays into culture and traditions. Because we're a community of, almost 2 billion people, alhamdulillah, there's a lot of intricacies marrying in different cultures, and their expectations as well. And maybe,
Yeah.
inshallah, we could talk about that in another video. Um,
Inshallah.
yeah, inshallah. Is there anything else about the traditional Muslim marriage that you think is important that people would want to know more about that I haven't asked you?
I just wanted to talk a little bit more about homeschooling and doing it not just for economical reasons, but also like if you look at what they're teaching kids these days,
Oh
like
my gosh.
kindergarten kids or primary school kids are being taught about gender. oh, like
Yes.
it's okay if you're like you're not a man, you're not a woman, like, and they're
Hmm.
like confused about these very basic truths of life, you know.
Absolutely. And at a
And
young
if
age.
yeah,
Yeah,
and like when I was growing up, I had like, you know, like nursery rhymes and like wholesome kid stories and stuff like that.
of course.
And like being confused about who you are, like that's a very scary place to be in as a
Right, right,
child,
right.
right? So
Yeah.
yeah, so like you want to like consider homeschooling because like Islamic schooling is very expensive, right? Like in
Oh,
many
is it? I
countries
don't know.
go in. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think homeschooling, like if you can't afford Islamic schooling, then homeschooling is definitely something you should consider.
Yeah, I highly
And
recommend it. Yeah,
yeah, and
absolutely.
I
Homeschooling
know
is the way
people
to
are
go.
concerned about like, you know, like their kids missing out on the social aspect of it. So maybe a couple of Muslim families can come together and like, you know, pool their
Exactly.
resources and raise their kids together. Like I know a family that
Absolutely.
does that in the Middle East. So
Hmm.
maybe they could do that as well. But you definitely want to consider it not just for the economical aspect, but because you want to like raise kids who have their head on, you know, the
Straight. Yeah,
their head on
absolutely,
straight,
absolutely.
and they're like, you know, they're not confused about this kind of basic stuff, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, homeschooling is, and like you just said, with the communities, a few families coming together raising, and that's another way that one of the moms can earn have a halal side business, technically,
Yeah,
right? So everybody pools their money.
that's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I think homeschooling is just and I think the socialization, people put so much emphasis, oh, kids won't be socialized. Well, there's going to be multiple kids, inshallah, in that little family
Inshallah.
group, in the family
And the
group.
parents can take turns, you know, teaching the kids.
Of
So
course,
it's
of
not like
course.
just on you. And like everybody's like good at like, hey, I'm good at math, you're good at something else.
That's right.
You can
That's right.
like teach them real life skills, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think a lot of people worry about socialization when it comes to their young children, but inshallah, the family group will come together with multiple kids. They're socializing together, and there's
And
soccer clubs.
homeschooling can be really fun, you know, like the group that I know of, like
Yeah,
they have something planned each week, and I was like, I
of
wish
course.
my like I wish I had that when I was growing up, you know, like for me, like it was going to school, coming back, doing homework.
That's
But they
right.
were like going to these really cool places. Like I think they went horse riding once, and they went to
Yes, of
like
course. Yeah,
yeah,
and there's
and some of
soccer
those
clubs and
parents
there's
have
swim clubs.
businesses and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
so they got the kids involved in that, you know. So I
absolutely.
think
And
if you
then
have a group of parents doing that, it'll be much more like easier
absolutely.
and fun. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, we did this, take your child to work day, in high school. I mean, the fathers inshallah, can take their kids to work and show them what real life is like. And there's a lot of opportunities there that I think are being missed in the Muslim community when it comes to homeschooling. I know there's workbooks that you can get as well for your
Yeah.
children. But inshallah, that becomes more popular in the community because I think it's,
Inshallah.
yeah, inshallah, because I think that it's putting your kid in a, and I know this is really problematic in the United States, is a lot of people are raising their child in a school zone that is very progressive or liberal, I guess is a better way to say it. And so they're being inculcated since, kindergarten to grade 12. It's like, when they come out of there, they don't even know which way is up or down. And I think that that's, if you're going to the masjid for Sunday school and plus Fridays, so you have, maybe 4 hours of Islamic education. Well,
Yeah.
that's that's a disservice to your
That's
own
scary, you
children.
know, that's so
It's
scary.
a
And that's
disservice.
one of my greatest fears as a future mother, you know, like I
Yeah.
want to raise my children upon the haq, upon what's right, you know.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Yeah, I think that's true. And I think, excuse me, bringing your child to the masjid as often as possible, I think is so, so important. And there's groups there. There are school, in New Jersey, there's a ton of after school programs at the masjids there that you can bring your kids to.
Yeah.
And that's another way to socialize your child, get them
Yeah.
comfortable in the masjid. Yeah, absolutely. I think homeschooling really needs to be looked into. Yeah, 4 hours of Islamic education, maybe a week, is just unacceptable in my opinion. So, well, Jazakallah khair for that. That's very, very interesting. Is there anything else that I didn't ask you think that the community might find interesting?
I think we pretty much covered all of it. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, great.
Alhamdulillah.
And inshallah, we'll see